Welcome to a special live episode of Jeff and Will's Big Gay Fiction Podcast. I'm Jeff from JeffAdamsWrites.com.
And I'm Will, as always, from WillCanals.com.
We have two very special guests with us this evening. Two New-to-GRL authors. We've got Chris Owen, sitting right here next to me, and Garett Grove.
Hi,
Groves.
Groves.
With an S.
Groves with an S.
Owen without an S.
And I think to start us off, how about both of you introduce yourselves to the audience?
Oh, Garett, you go first.
Oh, okay. Right onto that bus.
Yes,
So hi everybody, I'm Garett Groves. I write romance, obviously. My kind of thing is usually May December stuff. Hashtag King Daddy issues, that's me. But I don't really know what else to say. Yeah, it's just kind of me. I'm here doing my thing.
Excellent. And I'm Chris Owen. I've been around for quite a long time now. If you know me, it's probably from Bareback and Natural Disaster or the Deviation series, which I co-wrote with Jody Payne. And I've been away for a few years, but I'm coming back. This is my first time here, and I'm loving it so far.
Excellent.
She was way better than me.
Oh, years on the job, darling. Years on the job.
Which actually opens up very nicely to the first question. What made this the year for both of you to come to GRL?
Do you want to take this one, or you want me to jump in?
Sure. So I started writing for the first time this year. So I published my first book in March, went full-time in May, and then everything just kind of fell together after that. So I went to RT in Atlanta just as a general attendee, and then I heard there that there was another convention coming up with GRL. I'd actually never even heard of it before, so I know you guys are like, yeah. But I was like, oh, this is great. This is phenomenal. Yeah, I definitely want to be there. So I just was like, okay, here, I'm going to do this because now I'm like a real author.
You're a real author when you start putting
That's
words
true,
on paper.
that's true.
But I totally do. Yeah, I get what you mean. And for me, it was, I've done cons before. I've been to RT and I've been to Epic, but I took a break from writing a couple of years ago, and then, well, gosh, it's been almost 4 years. And then 2 years ago, I was with Jordan Castillo-Bryce in Chicago. We had a wonderful day, and I was saying, I kind of want to get back to conventions. I'm an extreme extrovert, and I love talking to people that read my stuff. And I was like, what do you recommend? And she was all about this one. She's like, this is the friendliest con. This is the one where you get to talk to readers and you get to fangirl at the same time, and it's totally awesome. So I looked into it. I missed the registration for the one immediately following when I saw her in Chicago. And I emailed Teresa, actually, and it's like, okay, I'm Chris Owen, you've probably forgotten all about me, but I'm interested in coming. And she was so gracious and so kind. She's like, no, but sweetie, we totally kind of remember you. It's like, yeah, and this is when the sign-ups are, please come. I'm like, great, but it's been wonderful.
It has.
It really has.
Yeah. It to that point, too, I feel like it actually has been a lot more tight-knit than I thought it was going to be. I mean, because like my first experience with a romance convention was RT, which was absolutely
massive.
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was so many people, and so many people I didn't know. People not even just that I didn't know that I'd never even heard of, because I'm not familiar with that MF world. So I just don't know these people, unless it's like somebody that I've seen my mom reading somewhere along the way. My mom loves romance novels. Reading mine now, which is kind of weird.
Oh, yeah, it's trippy the first time it happens, isn't it? Yeah.
I loved it. Okay, great. I don't want to hear any more about how much.
That's good, Mom.
Good
Thank
for
you.
But no, I'm really enjoying just kind of just hanging out. It's really cool. Like I walk through the restaurant, for instance, and I just see people, and I just sit down and start talking, and people just come and go, and they're like, oh,
yeah.
I don't know who you are, but sure, I'll talk to you.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, even just running into you guys was like that. And it's like, I can't even remember, because, I mean, we've run into each other consistently over the weekend. I don't remember the first time that either I approached you or you approached me, because it was an automatic, it was like, a hug, it's family, I know your name, you know my name.
It's etched in my brain.
Is it?
It is.
So it's been, actually, no, I do remember, and it was very, very sweet, and it was wonderful. And every time somebody like runs into me at the Starbucks or something, I get, oh, you're the real Chris Owen. And my first instinct is, there's another one? Maybe I'm not the real Chris Owen. No, wait a minute. No, I am actually. That's very cool that you remember me. That's awesome. Thank you. And it's really, it's a gathering. How many of us are there? There's like, I've heard anything
like
between
400
and 400 to 500,
yeah.
exactly.
It seems huge. Seeing the ballroom laid out last night
Was amazing.
I'm like, there's this many people here. This is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like a family. It really is, and I've literally, because I'm an extrovert, and it's like I've got like 25 minutes before my next thing, and I'll wander up to a group of people and say, "Can I join you?" And they'll, of course. They may not know who I am. Some of them do, some of them don't. It's great. We just talk, and it's not necessarily about writing. It's not.
That was the amazing thing actually about the ballroom event last night. It was the kind of like, I don't know most of the people in that room 'cause I'm still so new, but I still felt like this is where I'm supposed to be. You know, like this feels right. This is not. I don't know. It's hard to put into words, especially the kind of like the speeches that were being made and how far we've come from those humble beginnings as this convention and as a genre in general. It just feels like I feel like we're really on the cusp of something big, and it's great that we have a place like this that's specifically for us. You know, because I feel like within romance in particular, there's a lot of things that are not open to the MM crowd. At least that's what I've come up against anyway.
Historically, that's very true.
Yeah, and it feels too like there's not a whole lot of opportunity for things that are specifically focused for the MM crowd, for like promotional opportunities and things like that. Yeah. So I mean, it's great that you guys are doing this. I feel like this is a fantastic resource for people, but I'm excited to see where we go from here. I feel like we're kind of at that point where it's about to just...
Yeah. Oh, I think so too. And as Laura was speaking last night, I was at the RT that she was speaking about, their first experience there, and I'm like, yeah, I remember that. I remember people turning their backs on me. My pen name is Chris Owen, and that is because when I started in 2002, the gentlemen writers of the genre were not happy that women were starting to write. So we all had to have gender-neutral names or use our... I'm happy enough that Chris is actually part of my name. I am Chris Owen. But it was one of those things where people did turn their backs on us, and people were like, how dare you be here? But that particular RT, the very first one that I went to, it must have been almost 11 years ago, the sweetest lady to me was, I swear she was in her 70s, and she wrote inspirational Christian romance novels, and she was just like, sweetie, you write the stories that you want to write, and people will find you. And I was like, oh, she was so sweet. But she's no longer the exception. Right. As we grow as a genre, and as people start sharing more, we're getting more and more of that reaction, and it's becoming more and more mainstream.
Yeah, and I feel like there's almost like there's been a perception shift too in the genre, where I feel like before there was kind of like, this is a general sort of self-publishing stigma that I feel like is finally starting to go away.
It is finally starting to go away.
Where they're having your backs turned, not just because I'm writing something different, but also because I'm not represented by a giant publisher. I do everything myself, and so therefore, well, that book must be bad because you couldn't have gotten it published at one of the big five.
No, I'm doing it myself as well.
Yeah,
and I've come
I wouldn't do
from
it
multiple publishers.
I love it.
The level of control is wonderful, and being able to seek out the best cover artist for something that you want, and being able to find the betas and the editors that you really like.
And selecting pricing and what kind of promotional things you want to do.
Everything has become so much easier than it was even like 5 years ago. And not only easier, but the quality has become so much better. Because people aren't just throwing out whatever. People,
there's still the people who try to scam KU and stuff with the crowd.
Don't get me started on that.
But there's also, you could line up any number of books at this con, and you wouldn't know.
Self-published
from what came from a publisher in most cases.
And writers are becoming much more responsible in terms of having a beta reader or having a paid editor or a proofer or something like that.
And I feel like that speaks to the maturity of the genre too. Like I think we're at a point now where it has kind of reached critical mass, where we can do the kind of things that we want to do. We can find great beta readers and all these kind of other services that we need to make a high quality polished product, where not that people didn't want to do it before, they just didn't have the means to actually make it happen. And now we do.
The resources weren't there. Now I can
Google. Amazon, you can print your own books.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And you can go on Google and you can say proofer for such and such genre, and like a stream of names will appear.
And there's the self-publishing community at large, not just within the
it's
MM
not
community.
Vanity publishing anymore. It's actually self-publishing.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of resources. Like all these websites have popped up, like ReadZ and all these other kind of things. It's specifically focused resources for self-publishing authors, and it's phenomenal. I wish we'd had this.
Oh God, I wish I'd been had it like 15 years ago. Absolutely. I've worked with some amazing publishers, don't get me wrong.
It's fascinating too, because I keep having these conversations with like random people, like in my day-to-day life. Like I went to the doctor the other day because I was really, really sick. And he was just talking to me while I'm getting examined. He's like, so what do you do? And I'm like, well, I self-publish books. Really? Tell me more about this. I'm very, very interested in this.
People want to know.
They want to know. And it's not even just like before... I feel like there was kind of like a
couldn't find a publisher.
And it's
could
totally
you?
flipped because I think people now realize like, hey, I could be doing that.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a cultural shift too, because you see things like YouTube and streaming and all this stuff that's going on. Like people are more interested in making their own living than maybe working for somebody else. So I think it's great that we have so many opportunities to do these
Kind
kind
of
of
nice
things.
to get all the royalties, isn't it?
Yeah,
right?
well, most
yeah.
of them.
Most of them.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that either.
It's kind of nice.
Quick comment from Amanda.
Oh, hi Amanda.
She says, "Can't wait to read more from you, Chris."
Thank you. It's
And
coming.
Garett loved the spice of life.
Yay!
Thank you. Glad to hear it.
That's fantastic.
So, you covered so much there. That was
I know,
really,
that was
We got
really
chatty.
that was really good. What has been, I guess, what I want to ask is, I'll go with this because this is the easy one because there's so much like colliding through my brain after all that. What's been your like favorite thing so far here in these 2 days or 2.5 days, depending on how long you've been here?
Because yes, right now we're at the end of Friday. This is officially the second day of the
Right.
convention.
We still got another
so
whole day
I
to
know
go.
there's still a lot more to do. But what's been your favorite thing so far?
Meeting people that remember me. Because I thought that I would get here and people like, didn't you used to write? But instead it's been like, such and such a book was my first one that I read in this genre. And I'm like, that's because I'm a dinosaur. But it's been finding people that are just really excited about the genre growing and having so many authors here and getting hugs from, the hugs are the best. The hugs are really the best. I'm a big hugger. I totally respect people that don't want hugs. But the people that are like, Chris Owen, let me touch you. And I'm like, okay.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Sure.
I love the love. No, it's wonderful. And to have conversations with people who are like, okay, so 7 years ago I was really sad and then I read the story of yours and I felt better. And it's my comfort read, honestly. I just got tingles. Being told that you were
Yeah, I see
somebody's
it.
comfort read
Yeah.
is amazing. It's just like, and that everybody here is, I mean, I would say like 99.9% of the people are just super cheerful, and the other 0.1% are sleeping.
Because they're just exhausted.
Exactly.
Because they
No,
stayed out and partied too long.
Exactly, yeah. And it's been wonderful. Just everybody is so warm, and it is like family.
Right,
It's
yeah.
great.
And that's actually what I was going to say. My favorite part of this has been so far is like, I feel like as a self-published author, I live so much of my life online.
Yep.
So I don't really ever get to see or get to know the people that I interact with on a daily basis on Facebook. Like some of my fans are phenomenal, and I gotten to meet them here. So it's like they come up to me and I'm like, oh God, I know your face. I just get over here.
Exactly.
Just get over here.
And you walk around and everybody's studying it, everybody's language. So it's like the
Yeah,
eyes go
yeah.
down and then they go up and then they light up and you're like, my people. Come to me.
But it's also been nice to meet some authors that I've been chatting with for a while now that I haven't gotten to meet because when I went to RT, it was such a small group of like my own personal little friend circle that was actually there. And this time around, like every author that I know is at this event, so I got to
We're
meet
all
everybody,
hanging.
and it's been great.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
So another question.
Yay.
This one for Chris.
Oh.
I suspect there might be a story behind this.
That's my husband's avatar.
That's your husband's avatar. 'Cause
Hi, Glenn.
She's like, how are you enjoying your newfound fame from the Magnificent Seven?
Oh my God! Okay, my dearest friends are all together tonight. Hi guys, I love you all. I knew they'd track me down. I do not have newfound fame. I will have you know. I have latent fame.
Latent fame.
Yeah. We'll discuss that when I get home. But generally, my darlings, I am having a wonderful time, and I wish I was there having blue cheese with y'all.
We're glad she's here with us.
Yeah.
And we'll find some blue cheese to give her later.
That'd be
I
great.
think there's some in the lounge actually.
Oh, is
There
there?
probably is
Is
somewhere.
there? That would be awesome.
You've been to RT several times at other cons. How's this different than those?
Oh,
if not just in terms of its size.
The programming is less intense, but the camaraderie and the welcoming spirit is way astronomical. This is just an amazing thing to walk into and have people embrace you, me, and it's the warmest convention that I've ever
That's
been to.
that's the wildest
Yeah.
thing for me, especially as somebody who's very new to publishing, to just be like walk into a place like this and people are like, oh, I know your name, I've seen your book, I have your book, I haven't read it, or maybe I have, whatever, but it's just like I I'm no one. Like
You are.
No, I didn't mean
No,
like that. But like,
I'm
in terms of like the time I've been doing this, I'm very, very new. So it's amazing to me to just have like this giant community.
It's like this instant
oh,
family,
welcome
isn't it?
on in.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and people that have never even heard of you before are like, tell me about your life.
That's,
and,
yeah,
like,
like,
and they're not necessarily about the books. It's like, so where do you live?
Yeah.
How far did you have to travel? How was the flight? Oh God, that sucks.
That's,
that
that's
kind of
actually
thing.
one thing I really appreciated about the author lounges that we've had so far. Is that it's not like a signing where you just sit and sign books. Hey, nice to meet you. Okay, move on to the next one. Like I've actually had full conversations with people that have come to my table, and they do ask the kind of things you're asking. Like, so did you come from far away? Are you tired? I'm like, no.
Where did you come from?
Florida.
Oh, okay. We came about the same distance. I'm from Eastern Canada.
Okay.
So we just kind of went.
Yeah.
Big triangle.
Converge.
Yeah. Exactly. And I was
Big
exhausted
triangles.
when I got here, but it was fun.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel it now. Like I was on such an adrenaline high the first day or so.
Oh yeah.
And like I wasn't sleeping well because of the time zone differences, but it didn't catch up with me until today. Now I'm just like, I finished my reading a little bit ago and I'm just like,
Oh yeah, I did a panel on BDSM.
Whoa.
Came out, had a margarita. It was Casey's fault.
I knew better than
Well,
that.
you guys were serving booze in the room.
That wasn't. Oh God, yes, that was me. But okay, so there was alcohol panel. I didn't drink any then.
Yeah, little bottles of Southern Comfort.
I
on
saw
every chair.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
gave
saw
away
that.
booze. It was awesome. It was the
Somebody
best
else was
panel.
giving away like Irish cream. I saw too.
Oh, that's probably us too. We had all the booze. We had the floggers. We had. Oh, did you see Lou with her flogger? It
Yes,
was intense.
and she was using it
She
too.
was using it. I was a little
Like,
intimidated
calling
sitting next
to
to
order.
her. Yep. Yeah, she was very good at it.
Did you enjoy? Because you were in a storyteller panel, so you guys kind of got to build your program there. Was that fun?
Yes, it was actually, and I'm not sure if that was just the personalities or the subject matter or what it was, but we've been conversing via Skype and Messenger for about a month or so, kind of tossing ideas around and building, because we had 2 quizzes planned. We only got time to do 1. And we just kind of built it up, but then we got here, and the multiple choice questions, we were given the 10 questions, and we were all supposed to arrive with our answers, and I was the only one that had answers. So we sat down yesterday
Funny how that
over
works.
coffee. I know, right? It's like there's always one in a group project. And I'm like, I would say that it's because they were British and they had to fly much longer than I did, and I just had a little bit of extra time. But it was a ton of fun because they're amazing ladies, and they are so calm. Maybe it's because they're British. They're
I
just,
think it's because they're British. Casey's usually pretty calm.
yeah, she is. I mean, she might not she's kind of, but she's very
kind of
and calm. Okay, Casey Wells, I love you. You're
And you got thrown into like an extra
Oh yeah, I
event.
totally forgot about that.
On
That
the
was
fly.
wild. Yeah. So there was a Q&A event that I was just attending because one of my friends was on the panel and the other author didn't show up. So
Oh, no?
I just was like, okay, whatever. I'll
Okay,
do
here I
it.
am.
Why
It's a
not?
Q&A.
It was
Let's
one
do
that Will was moderating, and Will was like, anybody want to take? And Garett like,
I
I'll
didn't.
do
Yeah,
it.
well, yeah. I mean, it was funny because like I didn't really volunteer right away, but like my friends were like, Garett will do it, and I'm like, okay,
Fine,
I guess
Garett
I'll do
will
it.
do
Garett
it.
will do it.
Do you have any
Yes.
idea how much trouble I get in with stuff like that? Chris will do it. Chris will do it.
Well, that's the thing,
Yeah.
because I'm like one of those people, like, I don't usually say no to things, especially with, like, stuff like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
okay,
It's not
sure.
going to hurt me to be up there.
We
and-
don't seem to be shy.
No.
No, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yes,
the opposite.
Garett very graciously stepped in at literally the last second, and it was a really great panel.
We had a lot of fun on
Who
that
else was
thing.
on
It was
that
fun.
one?
It was Kiki Borelli and Wade?
Yes,
Yeah.
and Wade Kelly.
Wade Kelly.
Wade
yeah.
Kelly is amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't had the good fortune to meet Kiki face to face yet this convention, but Wade took the cutest
Kiki's
picture
great.
of me.
I got to meet Kiki. That's another author that I've been chatting with and kind of friends with
Oh,
online that we finally
nice.
got to meet in person.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was great.
Those
It was
moments
funny
are
too that
fabulous.
we ended up on that same panel together because like if it hadn't been for that happening, Kiki would have been the only one up there to talk about Impreg. So I was like really happy that I could kind of back
That's
Kiki
okay.
up on.
I saw her in the book selling room. And I'm like, right.
So it was fun. It
Yeah.
was great.
Excellent.
Yeah, because you've branched out.
I have, yeah. I don't really know where that came from. I just decided because I wrote like 4 or 5. I don't even remember how. Yeah, I think 5. Well, I just finished the 6th one. Anyway, the point is, I wrote a bunch of contemporary romance novels, and I was just kind of like, I wanted to change a pace, really. So I wanted to write something that was a little more plot focused, and I've been kind of like teetering on the edge of impreg for a while. I was like, I'm kind of fascinated by this stuff. Like, I don't really understand it, but I want to understand it. So I read a few things, and I was like, you know what? This is great, because I've had this idea kicking around in my head for a long time to do this kind of like in-depth political war of clans or packs or something like that. And I was like, this is great. So I just wrote this totally different, off the beaten path book that I probably wouldn't write it again if because it just did a lot of weird things. I mean, I kill people, like lots of people.
Oh, you should have gone to the
book.
murder and romance panel.
Yeah,
It was brilliant.
yeah,
Everybody needs a dead body.
I think we need more killing.
We need more killing.
Yeah,
more
we do,
killing,
yeah.
more random
I mean,
deaths.
it makes the romance more
Poignant.
cherishable.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
you just
exactly.
don't know. Like, what if they die?
What if they die?
Well, Reese Ford I was on a QA with Reese Ford today, and there were talking about how you start your plotting and where things start. She's like, well, there's a dead body.
Yeah. Well, we start off with the dead guy.
And we go from there.
Figure out how he got
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chapter 1, dead
For
body.
sure.
Chapter 2, maybe dead body, or it's still there. Or, you know.
Man, I gotta write more mysteries.
We've like brushed it off into the corner, maybe put a blanket over it. It's still there.
It's still
but-
there, but it's out of sight. It'll come back later. It'll be an
Right,
issue.
yep.
Yep.
It's like Chekhov's dead body or something. Like, if you set it up, it's gotta come back and
Yeah.
go off.
I like it. I like
You
it.
can't just leave it over there.
No.
No.
Mm-mm. Well, I mean, you
Put a
can,
pin
but
in
like
it.
the smell is gonna get it. Just don't do it.
Don't do it. That's our advice.
That's Garett's
That is our
advice.
Yeah,
advice.
just don't just let the dead
do
body
it.
there.
I mean,
You
just
gotta
don't check
deal-
my Google history.
deal
just
with the
don't
dead
do
bodies.
it. Just don't do it.
Exactly.
So, for people who have not been to GRL, and are like,
Should I go to this one?
what's your advice about taking the leap?
Oh, that's great. I guess it depends on how you're coming at it. If you're a reader and you're considering coming, or if you're
Oh my
an
God,
author
come.
considering
If you
coming.
are a
Yeah, if you're a
reader,
reader, absolutely
absolutely
come.
walk
I feel
in.
the same way if you're an author.
Yeah,
if
if you're an
come.
author,
But-
if you are an introvert author, come with your breaks built into your schedule so you can go to your room and relax. If you're an extreme extrovert like I am, come with your breaks built into your schedule so you can go and recharge a little bit. But there isn't anything about this convention that I think would sway anybody to not come.
I think that the nice thing about it too is that, like, unlike a lot of other conventions, it's not huge, so you're not going to feel totally overwhelmed.
But
even
there's
as
enough little groups that
Exactly.
you can go around to talk, and everything overlaps.
Yep.
There isn't any cliques. There's just this 7 people over here and these 14 people over here, but eventually they're gonna swap
exactly,
out.
they're all going to swap
Yeah.
out, and then everybody's
Yeah.
talking to everybody, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
It is. It's wonderful.
Cool.
Back to you, darling.
You
Back to you, darling.
You could become like commercials for GRL.
Yes.
Oh, we could do that.
Oh my God.
I wonder if there's money to be made.
Probably.
Probably not.
Or maybe a little discount on drinks.
I would settle for more drink coupons. I'm
Bonus,
not gonna lie.
bonus drink coupons.
There we go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
somebody,
whoever has that
somebody
book
touch
that was
reset.
like printed those and then had to cut them.
Call me. I can help with the cutting.
Yeah.
Pocketing a few.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's coming up next for you two in terms of what do we get to read next?
So I just did this crazy thing where I wrote a whole book in 5 days.
I've done it in a month, but not in 5 days, dude.
So I
How
took
many words are we talking?
like 94,000.
Dude, did you
Did
sleep?
you sleep?
Well, see, this is the thing. It's so funny though because I took a dictation recently with Dragon, the
Yeah.
software,
Yeah.
and I've like gone
right on.
full on with it, and I love it. But I mean, I'm not comfortable dictating when other people are in the room.
Oh yeah, no, that's something you have to
And
do
so
alone.
I share an office with my husband, and he's like, "You're gonna have to just get over this because you're
got
not
stuff to
kicking
do
me out."
too,
Yeah,
Garett.
exactly. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. So he went for training for his job in Vegas for about a week, and I was like, "This
Getting
is
it
it.
out.
We're
This is
doing
it.
it.
We're doing
I'm getting this book done." So I did. So
What's it about?
it's a rock star romance.
Nice.
It is May December, of course, because like I
May
said,
December.
hashtag Team Daddy Issues.
I
But
like it.
it's
I don't have daddy issues. I like it.
it's quite different from what I normally do, though. I went a little deeper with this book, so that it explores some things. There's like some therapy sessions that go on in the book, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't think I've seen that before in a book, so I was kind of interested to do that. But also, I've been watching Sopranos a lot, so it was kind of like.
Does that mean they're dead
Well,
bodies?
There's some issues that
There may or may not be
dead
bodies.
people.
There are dead people. There are not dead bodies. If that
Well,
makes
no,
there's
there is
someone's
definitely
dealing
a
with
difference in
a
there.
death, and so there is death. But I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing.
Do you have a
lately.
working title?
Yeah, it's called Rock My Heart.
Nice.
I'm not sure if I'm going to turn it into a series. I just kind of have to see what happens.
What happens? Excellent.
I don't have a date yet.
Okay,
Because I was like, okay, write this book in 5 days. Now I need to edit it. God only knows how long that's going to take because dragging is crazy.
It is a little, but you're gonna have fun with it. It sounds interesting.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it sounds great. And I am working on the first book in a new series called Killer Spies in Love. The first book is called There's No Us in Team, and it's post-pandemic killer spies in love. It's a team of 4. It's kind of a cross between James Bond and Mission Impossible. And
sign me up.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Let's just do that.
Yeah. No,
you don't even have to write it. You can just sit here and tell us the story right now.
Which I know, right? I've never done post-pandemic before, and it's like 12 years after this pandemic has wiped out a full third of the population, if not more. I haven't quite decided yet.
I'm really excited actually that you're writing stuff like this because I want more of that kind of stuff in romance.
Well, the interesting thing is, okay, so after you lose that much of a population, who has control? The people with money, right? So we're talking militias, we're talking drug dealers, we're talking all kinds of things. So 12 years on, the government is starting to regain control. And plus, if you lose that many people, you're looking at a fossil fuel crisis, you're looking at all kinds of things.
Sure.
So I did a lot of research into biodiversity and biofuels and everything else. Hi, Megan! And all kinds of things like that. And so it's really, really fabulous. So I've got 4 characters, 3 of whom are male, 1 is a female, and it's going to be wild.
Wow.
It's like, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
It sounds very different from the work we've seen.
Completely different. And that's one of the things after taking a break, because I don't think I wrote anything new for almost 3 years. And this is the story that just would not leave my head. It was the story that I was telling myself at night. It's like, how do I get this team together? Who's the driving force? And as it built up in my head, it just had to leak out of my
Have you had
fingers.
this experience where you've been woken up because you've just got this random idea?
My God, yes. Yeah. And it just gets so loud in my head, and you wake up, and I talk in my sleep.
I do too.
Usually it's random things, but sometimes it's like, plot twist, and you gotta do something.
Well, yeah, then you can't go back to sleep because your brain's just...
Yeah, and there's like a day job.
Well, the reason I asked is because you're talking so much about doing all this research and stuff. I was like, I can't imagine learning all of that stuff and then not having...
love learning. Any chance to research makes me happy. And luckily I've had people in my life who were able to indulge this particular research path in ways that I would never have had access to without them. It's like, hi, Megan.
Plug.
Yeah, plug. Megan's awesome. And it's been really, really interesting as a learning experience and learning about our current world, let alone this fictional world that I'm building. Right. Yeah, so it's been really cool that way. I like it a lot. I can't wait to release the story.
Cool. That sounds awesome.
I'm excited.
Cannot wait.
Do you have a date?
Oh, I hope to release middle to end of January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I think we will probably wrap things up for now. Guys, where can people find you online?
So my website is still the best place to find me, GarettGroves.com. Easy to remember. I'm on Facebook a lot. Like, you can ask these guys. Like, I'm on Facebook all the time. So that's probably the best place to get like minute by minute updates. Although if you don't want to see the like music videos and stuff I post all the time, maybe don't follow me.
Yeah. I'm at chrisowen.net. It hasn't been updated in a while. So look for me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page, which is Chris Owen, and I tend to be there more than I'm anywhere else.
All right, awesome. So thanks to everybody on the Facebook audience who tuned in to check things out. We will be back live again tomorrow afternoon at 5:30 Mountain Time. That's 4:30 Pacific and 7:30 Eastern, with a couple of, I would say, two of our favorite former guests who've been on the show.
Yes.
And that's about all we'll say on that for today.
How you gonna blue ball me like that?
Give me initials.
No.
Nothing. Oh.
We will announce those guests on Facebook and Twitter sometime tomorrow, so y'all can tune in for that. Thanks for joining us. We will be back tomorrow, and we'll be back on Monday with a normal podcast episode.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.